Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Not a good one for Nigerian democracy. The sad tale of a 24 billion naira 2015 general election bribery scandal involving over 200 members of the electoral umpire in Nigeria brings a sour taste in the mouth. And tonight, that's what we're discussing. It's a very solemn atmosphere because a lot of people will wonder the kind of leadership that he gets is a direct child of the kind of electoral process that you have. When almost every part of your electoral process, one way or the other, is corrupted by bribery and some form of money exchange in hands. Mr. Oluwole Osazi-Uzi is the Director of Voter Education and Publicity at INEC. He's been talking to us from our Abuja studio, and Mr. GT Oguni, a legal practitioner, both of them giving insight into this matter. Let me quickly, before I go back to our Abuja studio, it does look like what may be the impact on the outcome of the election. For example, if Mr. Ogunye is elected as a governor of a state, and in this investigation, if our EFCC can find out and comes out with a report to say his emergence was mad based on the sums that were received, can the person lose his or seat, legally speaking?
Legally speaking, I think that the system will just play the ostrich without revisiting the validity of the emergence of that candidate. And we have example. In 2004, 2005, the Akwa Ibom state election in which Governor Victor Atta was elected was marred with allegations of corruptions, and judges lost their seat. In that tribunal, we had Justice Matilda Adamu and Justice Christianus Senlong of the Federal Court, being removed from the judiciary. Later at the Court of Appeal level, because of the allegation of corruption, also 2 judges of the Court of Appeal were removed from the bench. But regardless of those incidents, the politicians who have been elected still exhausted.
So nothing may really happen.
In other words, under the Electoral Act, the period for challenging an election outcome is stated, and how this election outcome can be challenged is stated. So when ex post facto, these facts now emerge, as it were, pointing out that monumental corruption are taking place, during the conduct of this election. By law, it may be very difficult to revisit it, to vitiate the mandates thus given in those elections. Then those who actually participated in this process, in this show of shame, could be punished under the law. And it's good that they have been interdicted, they have been suspended, placed on half salary by the authority of Federal Civil Service Commission and Laoye. INEC cannot punish them for alleged criminal offenses. Act. Yeah. EFCC will prosecute, and hopefully EFCC will not lose those cases.
Let's ask Mr. Oluwole Osazi-Uzi now. The see and buy, I'm very sure that that's not a new term or terminology to INEC. A lot of people may have complained to you, especially in elections in Edo, Kogi, and in Ondo. There were a lot of people who complained. I'm very sure that you probably had heard that. What is the commission going to do now if about 300 people have been fingered? You asked the question, so how many people are there remaining in INEC? The question is, going forward, how is INEC able to check its own self to be sure that at every point they are not being manipulated and monies are not exchanging hands?
Well, I don't know whether any institution can beat their chest and say, we'll get to the point where money will never exchange hands. But having said that, it must be remembered and recalled that INEC is at the forefront of this whole purging of itself. We say, look, we've always said, give us evidence of bribe taking, give us evidence of money trying to influence our officials or any undue influence on our officials, and we will take necessary action. Regrettably, this hasn't been too forthcoming. We've had allegations, but not too often do they come out to substantiate these allegations. But we're happy. It's not an investigative body, it's not a security agency. We don't have powers to investigate crimes. So these bodies who had powers to investigate crimes, they took it upon themselves, and we cooperated with them. We facilitated their work as long as it was putting a beam on the commission. But having said that, we are doing all we can administratively to ensure that anybody who's caught in this web will be accordingly dealt with in accordance with law. But it must be remembered that these people still have to go to court. Some may be found guilty, some may be discharged. We don't know yet. Now, that is the next stage which the EFCC has to undertake. So the ball is in their court, and we will continue to collaborate with them in ensuring that justice is done till the end of the day. If anybody is innocently accused, that person should be set free and will be recorded. If the person is found guilty, then definitely necessary administrative fast sanctions.
Just a quick one, just about 30 seconds. I wanted to answer this because we're out of time. In 30 seconds, if about 300 staff or 200 have been suspended, there are elections coming. Is INEC not in a dire trouble? I mean, in trouble in terms of personnel? Just in about 30 seconds.
No, we're talking of 15,000, 16,000 INEC staff, if only 200. No, it's a reason what only compared to the total number of staff. We're still in good stead. We have enough staff to fill whatever gaps that there are. Okay,
let me conclude this conversation with Mr. GT Ogunye now. It's a big question. This scandal, the monies may be mouth-watering for those who collected it, but now it may be a big trouble for in their pockets now, giving them sleepless night. But the question is, going forward, how do we stop this? Just in about a minute, so that we can close.
Well, for those who have been caught, I think they'll be scratching their head to look for those lawyers who have talisman to ensure that humongous money, though taken by some persons, are released to them by the courts. And then, seriously speaking, going forward, I think that the Nigerian political system has to look at the electoral system very well with a view to fixing it. Otherwise, we'll be laughing stock before the international community because we'll not be taken seriously.
As the Electoral Act, as it stands now, if we go into another election, we probably will find ourselves in a similar...
It's going to happen and happen and happen. I have said at the initial point that it is because the political environment has changed, the baton of power changed. That's why you're looking at this. Assume that those who are in power are those who were there yesterday, who perpetrated in most cases some of these things. So what do you think will happen? It will be business as usual. And it can also happen with those who are in power now to manipulate the system. So we really need to put our heads together and ensure that we have a holistic process in place to reform our electoral system.
Thank you, Mr. GT Ogunye. Always a pleasure having you on the program. Mr. Oluwole Osazu is the Director of Virtual Education at INEC. Many thanks for your thoughts there on the program. I do want to tell our viewers right now that if you're going into the next election and you're hoping to collect money for a vote, you might be selling your future, because your future is in your hand, it's in your votes. And those who are buying votes also do know that they are not the right people to lead Nigeria. That's how we leave it tonight on the program. Many thanks for being part of the show. On behalf of the team, I'm Sean Kimberley. Bye for now.